here we are with Ashes Without Number, a post-nuclear role-playing game, Season 1, the intro, and the game intro as well. We are in May 2025 recording the intro, and I'm Devin, the facilitator, and with me here today we have...
Peter, and I'll be playing Runt, a Riant assassin.
Will playing Mossback, a redneck greasemonkey, and then I also have a backup character who may or may not show up. Rugged man, a cowboy mechanic.
And Zanes, first time here, and I'll be playing Ricardo, a veteran war soldier.
Alrighty, so let's break it down. What is this game? This game is an Ashes Without Number game. We want to spool on up just to play around with the system. The idea is it is a Earth that's had slightly different things in its background, and we're several decades past an apocalyptic event, a sort of Judgment Day, an AI end of the world thing. And the story is taking place around the Great Lakes. If you don't know, the Great Lakes are enormous. They're basically an extra inland sea the planet has, made of fresh water. Like Lake Superior is big enough to have tidal waves. So we picked out a few communities along the Great Lakes and figured out what they'd be as like post-apocalyptic enclaves. We set up kind of an idea of there being different factions and cultures that exist in these enclaves, slowly spreading around the Great Lakes, because I'm sure anyone who likes post-apocalyptic fiction knows having control over one of the largest sources of fresh water in the world is, that's a big deal. So it supports a lot of like Fallout communities, enclaves, survivors, that kind of thing. The players are mercenaries, they're basically mercenaries. They're hired on by a caravan of soldiers who have defected from a local military power. They've stolen equipment and stuff and are basically making a migration to, what was it? Milwaukee?
Yes.
Yeah.
Milwaukee hasn't been like taken back yet or colonized or really have anything set up in it. So this is a core of like engineer soldiers. So they want to take a caravan with like their best guys into Milwaukee, find a place to settle on in that would be safe, that they can like bring back online, something that'd be useful, like a mill or a train yard or like a radio tower or a power plant, something that would be a good base to set up a community. The bulk of the community is back somewhere else. This is sort of like, their best hope at like colonizing this place and bringing more people in. So the players are hired to assist. The twist of the caravan is their what are called Riants, which is a science fiction term. I pulled it from Orion Arm, which probably means it has, it shows up everywhere here and there. Riants are rhinanthropes, which is basically taking an animal and uplifting it into people sapience. And that's what they are in this setting. Humanity has technology to take certain types of animals and make people animals out of them. And have been for a long time. So this is just a whole class of people that exists in the setting that are disposable people, classic us. So yeah, they want to just set up a new life. So these Riants are, I think they're all dog based, right? Like no single breed. They're just like, we are dog people.
Yeah, a bunch of mutts.
Yeah. They were soldiers. They were mass-made soldiers to be like engineer combat guys, bridge builders, people who do logistics, sapping, digging trenches. Very much like the Dragonlance novel, The Doom Brigade, and its sequel, Draconian Measures, which covers a engineering corps of Draconians dealing with a post-War of the Lance world, I think. It's pretty good for, kids' books I read as a kid. Anyway, beyond Riants, animals uplifted into servants. Humanity also has artificial intelligence. They're the thing that caused the end of the world. They literally called it Judgment Day. Before that, they had a eugenics war, so that's also in play. Kind of all these things you can see are accounting for like the classic apoc stuff. Artificial intelligence, computers, robots, mutants, supermen, that kind of thing. That's all there, and you're like, okay, well, where are the psychics? Because even Fallout has a lot of psychics everywhere. And there is a planet that they have found that's basically Solaris, the living planet from the famous Soviet Union film. It's a living planet. Its surface is covered in a liquid that has like intense fractal designs, like it's thinking with the planet and stuff. And before Judgment Day happened, they were studying this planet, and its different like curves and mazes on it and stuff help like unlock the human potential for psychic powers by making you in tune with the planet. That's where psychics come from. They're all people that are, they're astronomers and or astrologers, whichever the fake one is. That like
Astrologists.
Astrology.
had access to this, and the technology sort of spread. So psychics aren't made by like any like rigorous technique. It's more like you study the planet or recordings of the planet or interpretations of it, and like it seeps its way into your brain and reorients how your brain works. A little bit like a rifle, or geez, there's a lot of other stuff this is like, where like knowledge of the thing becomes an infection that changes you and shit. Hell, the Becky Chambers books have that. They have a race of people that get a virus that's sapient that feeds off them and kills them early, but the virus lets them plot light speed travel in 4 dimensions.
Yeah, it's a basilisk.
Yeah, a basilisk, absolutely, like from that online thing with the dog.
Harry Potter stuff, right?
No, not Harry Potter. There is an online horror series. You know how Marble Horrors existed? Well, they got tons of those, and some of them are even good. This one is people trying to track down old meme image sources. So there's like Smile Dog, which is like a dog with like a skeleton face. That's all horror.
It's all pasta stuff.
Yeah, the original creepypastas. And basically, the premise of this story is all those current day images trace back to older images, and all those images trace back further to earlier images. So like these things existed in chainmails and back to basically like a Seal of Solomon type demonology, where the seals for the demons are themselves representations of the demon and how they got into your brain. And these types of demons that live in images, mimetic problems, are called basilisks, because if you look at them, you die.
All right.
It's cool. Oh, what was your
No, I am confirming I understand. It's neat.
Right, yeah, like, neat, right? So, the trick with the basilisks in that story are over time, like a living organism, these images reproduce themselves in different changing ways. They get more abstract and blurry and stuff. Like all of these images, every of those 2000s era meme images on somewhere or another have a smiling figure in them or a face with a mouth in them, because that's how horror creepypasta works. There has to be something there to be scared of. You're not going to be scared of like a bunch of logs. Like the Slender Man's scary because he doesn't have a face. Like the Rake is scary because it has a big scary face. The Russian sleep experiment is the scary face. It's all scary faces. So
it's all German smiling.
Yeah, so they all posit that it all descends from like some original image that was much more alive and much more deadly, that was like a face of some kind of face you saw that you died, and it's been disseminating and mutating and changing. So Smile Dog and the troll face are like the same branches of a creature's like evolutionary line, but the further down they go, they eventually sterilize and stop being like a thing that can infect you.
Oh, so basically, yeah, they're getting JRPG artifacted. JPEG artifacted.
Yeah, basically, like it's like cloning. Like it's the same thing with cloning. I don't know why this is the case, but they say you can't clone a clone because the genes will just get crappy over time. Like that comes up all the time, and it's like, we'll just use the original source. Like if you have gene technology good enough to clone, and all these stories do, some of their TNG episodes, just fucking use the original DNA. Like the first generation clones weren't garbage, so just like the DNA didn't go anywhere. Even if the physical DNA is gone, you still have the genome, so just hit print again, guys. The story's never they run out of cloned material, or the original scans were like corrupted, or like a plague means that the original genome's unviable, so they have to change it, but now they're changing it so much it's diluting the gene pool. It's never that. It's always, it's cloning. It's a photocopy of a photocopy. Like the Asgard and Stargate SG-1, they're this problem. They're cloning themselves so much they're going extinct. They used to be big, giant jack dudes, and now they're little Roswell Greys. And it's like, but you guys can turn matter into energy, and you guys can like do all sorts of insane magic shit because you're so advanced. You assholes are telling me you can't just like print from the first version?
No.
Like it's senseless. They even find clone stock of the original Asgards, and like, okay, well, you found, they're in cryotubes, so it's like, okay, well, prick it with a needle and send that as a text file somewhere, because you surely don't need the actual body to do the cloning, right? Surely you can digitize this information on some level. Like,
Anyway,
the
You're
clone
using too
technology
much
would
sense
need it.
here, man.
It's a weird thing.
Too much common sense.
Just a tangent into another Twilight Zone trope that I find is very sloppy.
yeah.
So, going all the way back to Solaris, that's how psychic powers work. And I've stolen from Stars Without Numbers to say that psychic powers, like Solaris technology, is where the Ashes Without Numbers / Seas Without Numbers / Stars Without Numbers Psi-Tech comes from. Like, yeah, it's not that big of a stretch. Psi-Tech comes from psychics in those games, and it comes from ours in this one. But this is the loop. This is how this society, this post-apoc society we've built, got really high up and then crashed. So artificial intelligence, you would need psionics to build them and maybe even maintain them. Or, building like faster than light ships, well, you need psychics for that and stuff. And like, it was just starting to become a thing before Judgment Day occurred. So that's where all the standard Fallout stuff comes from in this game. The other thing I introduced and I never got to do anything with were the concept of tools uplifted into servants. Specifically, I have this concept for a thing called homunculus for like some fiction we're doing, and I wanted to test out what they would look like. They're essentially created organisms that know their tools and don't have free will, but they have their own, like, they can think for themselves, but they have to do it within the nature of their free will. So they can't, like, if they can't kill, they can still make 1,000 other decisions as long as they don't result in killing, is kind of the thing, which is not having free will. That means you don't have free will. That doesn't mean they're not people. And they're supposed to be kind of a Twilight Zone ethical problem because they are property, they are tools, they're happy about it, they're made for it. You can't change that about them. It's fundamentally written in specifically so you can't, so they can't rebel. They're completely at your mercy, and they're absolutely perfect. They're like every Star Trek story where Kirk tells a computer a puzzle and it blows up. They were built specifically to avoid all of that and not rebel and not do a Judgment Day. And they're great and mass producible and completely upend societies, like the recovering like labor production of society in the places where like society still exists in this world. So there's like one in this game. She's a side character. Her name's Docent. Was she Docent?
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, we didn't really, this game you're listening to, listener, didn't go super long because like we just had scheduling issues. So she kind of is just there and never gets resolved, and nothing ever gets brought up about her really. And that's just how that story goes. We didn't get any more content out of it. So it's a lot of focus on something that doesn't ever pay off.
Which is just how games go sometimes.
Yeah. Well, welcome to almost being 40. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, I was gaming from high school all the way up to COVID, basically once or twice a week consistently. So, like, that was up to 30-ish. So that was like, what, 18 is high school, maybe before 16. That was a good 15 consecutive years, maybe 16, 17, give or take, of gaming every week. So, 16, 17 times 52 times like 1.5. That's on average, conservative estimate of how many sessions I'd been doing in a row. But then COVID happened and everything got upset and we had to move around a bit. And then we came back and like, it's just, we haven't had an in-person session in 6 years. If you're listening to my voice now, listeners, and you remember us from Princes of the Universe and all those early games, you haven't heard me in a long time, even though I'm like one of the main guys on the podcast, because we just haven't had the time to get the game together, So like, it's all that kind of stuff. What else? This game also, I decided, because it makes sense and Seas Without Numbers sets it up so well as being a precursor game, to like explore what Shadowrunners would be like if you actually took them seriously. Like the concept of these mercenary troubleshooters. And it comes up in very fun ways because like a lot of them just keep living past the Shadowrun era, and that's what this is. This is the post-apoc era. What do you do with Shadowrunners? Kind of deal. What happens to them? How does that progress? Because even if they're like really deadly, all of them had needs, really specific needs. If they had cyberware and magic. But that's game premise and a bit of the setting. Great Lakes, Milwaukee. It's a post-apocalypse that's basically Ashes Without Number, but a few twists here because we're doing some workshopping on a different project, it's like a novel, visual novel project. So what is Ashes Without Number? Ashes Without Number is the newest game by Kevin Crawford. That's basically AD&D, but used in such a way that it's actually fun and useful to play, and it's a genre game. Like, he's got Stars Without Numbers. That's for doing your traveler games. Like Pirates of Drenex drops 1-for-1 into Stars Without Numbers. Why would you use anything else? For Christ's sake. Saves Without Numbers is just cyberpunk games, like writ large. Your Shadowruns, your cyberpunk, your games that are better than those two because they suck type Shadowrunning games. That's Saves Without Numbers. It's good. Introduces a bunch of mechanics. It starts to kind of creep towards like class mechanics in a way where like you don't have not class, but like foci and edge based mechanics where it's like in Stars Without Numbers, you had like fighter, thief, wizard. In Saves Without Numbers, you all have the same class, an operator class. That's what they call Shadowrunners, operators. And you all progress the same amount through it, but you have huge amounts of customization because an operator can be anything from a hacker decker to a wizard to a street samurai and everything in between in a face. You can be all of that in this one class with all these things available to you. And they give you rules for like how to do Shadowruns, how to prep them, it has a heat system, all that fun stuff. He released Worlds Without Numbers, which is his just D&D game. Like it's just AD&D, but like made with the same quality and care that Cities Without Numbers and Stars Without Numbers was made. So it's like useful to play and interesting and doesn't, it
is AD&D without the racism.
I mean, yeah, just the smallest amount of effort to get rid of that, right? So,
right?
Worlds Without Numbers is great if you're looking for a D&D game, but like,
best dungeon generators, period. Like, it took me 20, 30 minutes, and you can whip up a dungeon ready to go.
Yeah, all these systems have non-game mechanic based parts that are much more valuable than the game mechanics themselves. Like how to generate system sectors, how to build enclaves, how to make your different Shadowrun cities, how Megacorps work, how runs work. These are all system agnostic and extremely valuable. And yeah, Worlds Without Number has a great like local area hex map infrastructure faction system that's really neat. So brings us to Ashes Without Numbers. It might be out by the time these episodes start going up, but like we have access to the backer versions and stuff, and it's basically done. I'm just going to say it's Fallout, but it's not Fallout. But I also hope people who are pedantic enough to call me out on it die. So I'm going to just say it's Fallout. But Ashes Without Number does a few genres of post-apocalyptic collapse of civilization fiction. It does zombies, which we don't hear a lot about these days. Like, yeah, there's a lot of zombie-ish games, but it's like this is more like The Last of Us, it feels like. And I think they even have variant zombies in there that are like the classic variant zombies from Left 4 Dead. Like Left 4 Dead did it right the first time, and we haven't moved past them in 20 years. Left 4 Dead might have taken them from Resident Evil, but I only remember them from the Resident Evil movies, and those were bad, so I don't acknowledge them. I know what a licker is, I think. Or a smoker? I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Smoker is Left 4 Dead.
And a licker is like Resident Evil?
Yes.
They're both tongue monsters, listener, for context. Smoker, liquor, you see where it's coming from. Look it up. They're stupid, but they're a fine monster. I think in Left 4 Dead, they hang on the ceiling or the wall, and they like send their tongue down to grab you and drag you up away from your buddies and just murder you, right?
Yeah.
Classic way to die.
Both 10. Do so, but lickers are more animalistic. They're more beast transformed people.
I remember they're more dog-like. Like they're more like an attack hound zombie.
Yes, that's pretty much it. They don't have skin. They're blind.
Yeah, so like these are the things you're looking at in a zombie apocalypse, listener. You're looking for like that Left 4 Dead, The Last of Us style cinematic apocalypse where it's like the real enemy is man and the zombies, but mostly man.
There's also rules for hordes, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, you can shave your way through 1,000 zombies, and there are rules for it that aren't stupid. It's just you're battering up against a weather phenomenon, essentially.
Which is fair.
Yeah, it's good writing. It's a good way to pace that stuff. The other genre it does is the other genre it does is also kind of The Last of Us. It's 5 seconds after the fall. Like, the intro to The Last of Us where you go through the zombie apocalypse. It's that. Or I guess Book of Eli-ish.
Book of Eli would be a close approximation.
Children of Men?
About Civil War.
That new Civil War movie. Oh my Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's kind of dead on what you would consider like an After the Fall type campaign.
That part in the Tom Cruise War of the Worlds movie where the world starts going to war-ish, that part. All the parts where society starts to break down and gets crazy before like Roland Emmerich style disaster hits, and then it becomes a cartoon.
Mad Max would probably be like an After the Fall type campaign.
No. Yeah, you're right. No. That's literally the first Mad Max movie. The first Mad Max movie, they have Taco Bell and gas stations.
Yeah, that's Mad Max. Why is people beating each other with pipes? Not when they're making crazy cars with blind people playing guitars on it.
Yeah, that started in the Road Warrior, the second one. People forget that Max in the first movie is like he's a street cop. He's like a highway patrol cop. Yeah. He gets paid in money. His boss wears a scarf or kerchief. People work out at gyms. He has a baby. Like he's just in Australia. Yeah, they send him on a holiday for stress relief or whatever. And they're just constantly talking about how gas prices are going up, cities are falling. Like they talk about the world ending in the background, but like, what the fuck are you going to do about it? At least you still got a paycheck. That's how the first Mad Max ends. And by Fury Road, it's like a mythological hell story because like these are fairy tales, not actual movies. Like you're not supposed to think that all 4 of these Maxes are the same Max. They're all just like the Epic of Gilgamesh, where it's like, and this is a story about Gilgamesh doing something. Is it in canon with the other things? Fucking probably not, but whatever. It doesn't matter. We're not doing continuity.
Spirit of Max.
Yeah, it's the fairy tale, the Road Warrior. They call him Max.
Of Max. He's just the newest one.
Yeah, well, you can use Max like Cat or Knight or like, the hero or whatever. Like, it's just that kind of shit.
The proverbial Jack.
Yeah, Jack from Samurai Jack.
I was going even older, but it makes sense.
I didn't catch the reference then, but like
Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack and the Giant, Jack the Giant Slayer.
Oh yeah, that kind of thing. Like I feel like I hate to have to clarify this because it's so obvious from the movies, but yeah, you're not looking at the same Max here. This is a fairy tale. A wicked overlord had a bunch of princesses, and then Max came in and helped his like the actual hero of the story like rescue them and stuff and like kill the evil tyrant, and then he slips off into the horizon, never to be seen again. He's Shane from the movie Shane. So
post-apocalyptic is a Western essentially.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a Western, and not in the sense that like there are cowboys and stuff. It's in the sense of like the West only existed because there was a frontier, and the frontier, by the dint of the apocalypse happening, has returned. Mm-hmm. So the fall is ripping the borders of the frontier closer and closer to civilization, and you're hitting the friction of that as everything transitions from a society with power and fridges to one that does not.
Where the only law is what the warlord or the town mayor, the sheriff, or the boss,
or the community, if they like come together in a group like our caravan.
Yeah, it's enforced law, and society is enforced at the end of a gun.
Yeah, we've spiraled all the way back to the ultimate power. Violence is the ultimate authority, and all of authority descends from it. Type society, and like we've never left that, but it's much more relevant right then and there in that part of the game.
Yeah. It's that part of life that we can't pretend it isn't.
Yeah. And then, of course, the last genre is the genre everyone's here for, Fallout. Zany, mutant, wasteland, stupid fucking bullshit, which is also good stuff. Like, Fallout has good writing when you don't pay attention to the Bethesda games. Like, 1, 2, New Vegas, you're done. You don't need any more Fallout. The rest of it is kind of garbage that people cling to because of nostalgia or not knowing any better. Like, I'd have an argument with someone because they thought the second Fallout was like a zany cartoon. And it's like, it's about genocide, Barney. Like, Fallout 2 has one of the most complicated social quests in games of the time, or I think even in the present, where you had to figure out which mob-style casino in Reno was going to be the family that ruled, and there was a point system being tracked in the background of like a bunch of variables. So it's very Fallout with the different casinos, but instead of 3 you had like more. But the secret was, if you help the weakest family out the most and do a couple other things. They have a final like reward quest where you go into a military base and take a bunch of loot, like really good fucking loot, and they use that loot to destroy everything and kill everyone and become warlords and stuff. But if you never do that last quest and do something different, it forces you've done so much damage to the other families, and this family has such a tenuous position of having real power that it forces them all to start to cooperate and align and stuff. And apparently within a few generations, democracy reigns. But that's one of like 50 different ways that quest can go, because that's just one family with one divergence for one set of things you're doing. Fallout New Vegas had a lot going on for it. It tried to talk about the nature of violence and like authority and power and like leveraging it and stuff, and how like you can't give the Reno family a bunch of guns and bombs from a military bunker, not because of course they kill each other, but because then you're trying to solve a problem caused by the weapons of war with the weapons of war. That's not how that works. I mean, it's obvious if you think about it in like this from a story sense, from a value sense, from a morality sense.
Yes, but they always say like if you can't solve your problem with violence, you're not using enough.
But in this instance, giving enough violence out makes this family that had no power kill everyone and wipe out everything and become a tyrant dictatorship, just like fucking every other town you go to that's like this. Whereas if you just kind of change the board enough, people are forced by circumstances to like cooperate and ally and integrate. And if you have enough, and if peace is a virus, if you have it too long, it starts infecting things and people don't want to go back to before peace. It has its own inertia. Even if it's a ceasefire because everyone has guns in their hands and doesn't want to take the first shot, that stillness in between violence, it's infectious. People get used to it. It becomes addicting, which is, the amount of that's the amount of help you can kind of do in Fallout, where it's like, you're not walking in like this is the Bethesda 3 game in a shining power armor, helping the US government take back whatever. It's so fucking stupid. I hate everything about everything. But like in Fallout and Fallout 2 and Fallout New Vegas, it asks you like, what are nations? What is society? What do we fight over? Why are we like this? Why did the world end? How can you justify continuing the American project when the American project objectively ruined the world? Or is this a communism thing where there's no true America? They were just doing America wrong back then, just like there's no true implementation of communism. They were doing it wrong. We'll do it right the first time, or forever. Like for the first time ever, we'll do it right. Fallout 1, 2, and New Vegas talks about all this shit. It has a thesis. It wants to say more than shoot super mutant. Like every super mutant in Fallout New Vegas is a written character with a life and an internal world to them and stuff. And like you can get away with not killing any of them by just talking to them like people and not hunting them like animals. And in Fallout 3, you have quests where you're hunting them like animals. It's a lot. The Fallout, I feel like represents the same issues that Cyberpunk has. I don't mean the game, I mean the genre, where like people want to cosplay it, but like both of those genres, the point of those genres is those genres stop existing. The end point of a post-apocalyptic narrative or story or life is not being a post-apocalypse. The good outcome of a cyberpunk story is not to be in a cyberpunk world anymore. You want to aspire to get away from it because these are failure states.
Cyberpunk Cities Without Number is a great precursor. If someone's going to run Cities Without Number, you could technically run Ashes right afterwards, because the point of Cities, and Crawford even says it in there, is things are fucked. They are on right at the precipice of going ass up.
Yeah, it'll never get better. We're past that inertia point. So that's what I mean about these genres. They're people like status quos, and people like being able to play with their toys. Like the example we bring up is Star Wars, the franchise. We can't get away from Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and fucking Darth Vader.
Perpetual Revolution, the Perpetual Rebels.
Well, you would have to do something. Yeah, Perpetual Rebels, where it's like, everyone is a rebel constantly. Like every version of the Rebel Alliance's backstory has a story behind it where there was a precursor Rebel Alliance that had a precursor Rebel Alliance that had a precursor Rebel Alliance, because the only story, even in the new movies, they were still a Rebel Alliance as opposed to just the government.
Which you would have thought was like they solved that in the first 3 fucking movies that came out. At least with the prequels, they had like The Fall. That's not a bad. That was good. That's kind of the point. Is it's a setup for the next 3. But then these newest, I don't want to talk about them.
No, we don't have. It's that thing though. This genre fiction. Everyone is afraid of moving forward. Like X-Men does this. X-Men is comics in general are like this. Comics never go forward, but I think there was like a comic for X-Men that did. It actually like had mutants evolve, and it like showed the results of mutant society, like how technology would change.
No, comics do worse because they go forward. Then they split in 3 and 17 timelines, and then they go back to the start again.
Krakoa was the whole thing where they had like a mutant island, and the X-Men were their own nation and government.
Yeah. There's a comic book series where they like take that further, where they show you the entire world changing, and it's unrecognizable, and it's like, yeah, because everything you introduce in the Marvel universe would make the universe unrecognizable to a world that doesn't have it, guys. If you're trying to go that route, if you want to just tell morality plays, you could just do that, but then you can't have the realism. Like mutants were supposed to. Okay, so mutants were like a stand-in for a lot of things when X-Men came out, but like at one point, famously, when the AIDS crisis was really ripping through human populations, they gave the X-Men an X-Men version of the AIDS crisis, and the authors were like, we will not solve this in the comics until it's solved in real life. And then like 50 years had gone by and it still hadn't been solved. We're like, we're just dropping this. We're done. We're gonna stop writing about this now because it's getting repetitive. I want to say it was 50 years, but it might have been just like by the end of that sentence they changed it because comics always flip-flop constantly.
Yep.
But these are the genres of Ashes Without Numbers. You got your zombie, you got your zombie, you got your the fall is occurring, and you got your what do we say about the nature of man followed apocalypses.
If I may, there is one more in the deluxe version.
Oh yeah.
The Thundar the Barbarian type. So far, or there's wizards now, evil tech wizards, and you get to.
Oh fuck yeah! I forgot about that.
That's in the deluxe version. That's really like there's another subclass called Ash Sorcerer, which is awesome. And then there's all like
witches,
do evil. Again, if you want to do, it's essentially Worlds Without Number, but it's in like that backdrop of.
You have a machine gun.
Yeah, you can have a machine gun fighting robots, like a cyborg wizard, or a wizard with a rocket launcher fighting a cyborg dragon.
Yeah, it sounds like with Cities Without Numbers
and Thundercats.
With Cities Without Numbers and Ashes Without Numbers, you could get a half decent G.I. Joe game.
Oh, you absolutely could.
If you assume all of these operators are like shadow runners, essentially, or like, ash wizards and stuff, like just crazy fucking people. Like Snake Eyes, really? He dresses like a ninja?
You can take all the partial classes from Worlds and just turn them into an edge. That's the whole point, is that you can take all those an edge and slap them in there. There's all the rules for if you want to take psychics, if you want to take the supplement, what the fuck was the gazetteer for Worlds Without Number, where they had like magic martial arts styles.
Sick.
I'm blanking on the name, and I'm sure somebody's cursing my name, but there was a gazetteer, like a supplement for Worlds Without Number, which is a bunch of like the breakdowns for the countries. But in the back, there's even more player facing stuff where there's a bunch of like, hey, here's race origins. If you want to play a bullman, if you want to play an Oni, if you want to do or
the riff style fun.
And then they have magic martial arts, which are all just foci.
Yeah. A lot of options in that. So that's kind of what Ashes of Numbers and the Of Numbers games are doing. Like, you can't talk about one without talking about the rest, because the fact that the rest of them can interconnect and you can do stuff with them is kind of one of the big like selling points. Like, you can use Godbound, Stars Without Numbers, Cities Without Numbers, Worlds Without Numbers in various ways for your Ashes Without Numbers game, and vice versa. They all kind of interconnect. I feel like hopefully down the road, he'll do a Stars Without Number updated to this new format where you don't have classes anymore, where they're all just like build your edge and foci. but we'd have to see. I think that's a better model.
I mean, you could do that right now. I suppose that's kind of one of the nice things. You just take the survivor, and hey, I'm going to get rid of the classes, quote unquote, from the old ones, and just put these in there. This is where you're using any partial class. If you want to do even, the magic supplement for Stars Without Number? Those are all just
Dark Sun or whatever, Black Sun.
Chronicles of the Black Sun. Or Throne of the Black Sun, something Black Sun.
The one that has Jedi in it.
Yes, and you could do Jedi in a Stars Without Number game, or in an Ashes Without Number game, or Cities. Doesn't matter. You can just put it all in there, which is amazing.
Yeah, the modularity is a big appeal. I think this kind of just accounts for us reviewing Ashes Without Numbers in small right here. Like, the of numbers games writ large, they have a really good appeal. If you just seriously can't get away from D&D, I guess I picked them because it's a new book that was out, so I thought, hey, why don't we throw something together? We'll talk more maybe about the game system on the outro. So why don't you guys talk about your characters?
Who wants to go first?
Entry order?
Sure. Peter, you're up. I think you might
not be there, so it's one of you guys.
Okay. I will start. So, there you are, Peter.
Yeah, sorry. My character is Runt. He is a Riant, as we mentioned, so he's a dog person. He's like a mutt mixed breed, small kind of character. For this character, I wanted to focus on the stealth aspects of it. So the ghost faceless stuff. He's like a gray man, things he can like blend into the crowds or what have you. Turns out, if you don't have a crowd of people, that's not that useful. But I mean, eventually we managed to use it.
You used it for really awesome effect at one point, but I don't know why that would be there in a game like this. Like as just like a common option, because you don't really get crowds of people in a lot of these games.
I mean, I'd imagine if you had a settlement you'd be dealing with, and that would really shine with it.
Oh, yeah.
Outdoor survival.
Yeah, we should mention. So the whole point of this game, this prequel part, was supposed to get them to Milwaukee and set up the game settlement, like their HQ, their hub world. And we just got to that at the end of the game. So if we ever pick up a season 2, the hub world has already been established.
So we have something to roll in.
Finally, go raid the Milwaukee tool factory.
Exactly.
The character's backstory was that he was sold to some raiders as a kid, just grew up with it, and then didn't like that, so started killing them off, and then stealthily. So it was kind of hard to pinpoint who's actually doing that in the firefight and what have you. And eventually, he just joined the crew as a drifter kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
That's roughly that was the character there. He's a person who, if you look at them, the face is so forgettable and so on, despite them being a dog.
Right.
So who'd like to go next?
Go great. I do. That's cool. 1 second, buddy.
Go on, child.
Yeah, sorry. That's my kid's out here. He's playing with Legos and he's making pals from Pal World.
That rules.
Right? I guess I will be starting with Mossback, which things happen with him. So he, as I think I described him in one part, redneck, grease monkey, pervert. And the tone of the game is a little bit more serious. However, I personally always think of post-apocalyptic is rife for ridiculous. The most insane, goofy stuff, I think post-apocalyptic lends itself to the best.
I think you're selling the character wrong by using the word pervert, which is something that gets people thrown in jail. You're talking about the goofy horniness of Mad Max stuff for their stupid costumes, right?
Yes, and pervert because it's funny.
I was thinking something in the lines of Lisa the Painful.
Oh my God! What a dark story to think of.
But think of the truckers in there. Think of the guys in there. That's the kind of things I think of when I think of his trucker.
There you go.
Yeah, it was just it was kind of meant to be a silly character, and like the whole, oh, he's got a vendetta against Dolly Parton.
He says he invented the question mark.
Yes, and made ridiculous claims like he invented the question mark.
There we go.
Swills moonshine like it's a fine wine, just something. Because again, post-apocalyptic is at its core kind of ridiculous and a little insane. And again, I personally feel like it lends itself to humor almost better than any other genre. Like cyberpunk, depressing. Sci-fi, depending on how you play it, a little bit hopeful. Fantasy, fantasy is fantasy. Post-apocalyptic is people have kind of collectively lost their minds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I went with that and again, maybe not quite appropriate for this, even though we tried and things happened. But it's meant to be a little bit silly. And like I said, I had a whole bit about how he's got a vendetta against Dolly Parton because she was some bounty hunter who pistol whipped him and left him in the middle of nowhere. It's going to be like, I saw her kill a man with a motorboat. Yeah, had a bear trap in her titties.
You certainly had a voice for it.
It was bad.
It was glorious.
But and then I have several spares just because it's easy to whip up characters and they're fun because you get a very quick view of what they're supposed to be. And I took the cowboy class that's also in the new book, which has some really cool art. So I didn't really get a chance to use them, but they're a little bit inspirational. But yeah, I guess the background for Mossback was again just some random hillbilly basically just wandered in and he was good with a wrench. So they said, you can be here. Don't talk to us, but you can fix our trucks. And that's pretty much it.
Perfect.
All right. Well, Sergeant Ricardo, so I was playing, well, physically think of him like old man Steve Rogers from, Marvel, but slightly more tan. I wanted to go safe because I went blind in this game. I don't know absolutely nothing about the Sinomine series. So I went for a character that was well balanced. No great strengths, no great weaknesses. So kind of the focus was around the Spark of Brilliance ability that was pretty useful. It's basically you pick 3 skills and you can choose one of them per day to become a master of it. And the idea is that he was a veteran of the previous wars. He was there, he was right there in seeing the big things happening, doing the big things happening, surviving the AI attacks. And once things calm down, he went low, got a bit depressed, mopped a bit until the caravan found him and look, hey, we know this guy. We know he has potential. We know he can be useful. Get up. You can do something better. And he went along.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Solid motivation.
Yeah, pretty much. He just wants to make things a little better, try to atone a bit.
Mm-hmm. It's a good way to set things up. It's a nice kind of perspective to add. All that kind of stuff. I guess that's all of our guys, right?
Pretty much.
I think so.
We had other players, but they can't make it, so they're not here to talk about their characters. So you'll figure it out from context, listener.
Yeah.
But that's basically it. The game starts with him on the way to Milwaukee because we're trying to set up that settlement. Things start happening from there.
Yeah. And boy, how they happen.
Right? So I think we could end the intro on that, right? Is there anything else we got to bring up?
I think that's good enough for an intro.
Yeah, we talked about all the things we wanted to talk about. Wait, did we bring up the scrapsmith thing?
Oh
That's
boy.
our outro, I think.
Oh boy.
Oh God! Right.
Sir.
Right. So yeah, I guess that'll be in the intro where we talk about someone being insane and talking about building nukes with scrapsmith. Not us. Other people.
The internet is a wonderful place where you can meet such people.
The internet means you can say absolutely whatever you want and nothing stops you.
Oh boy.
including yeah. Oh man. All right. So if anyone's prepping to that before the last outro, maybe read up on what was that fucking guy's name? David Han, the nuclear Boy Scout. The context clues might be important for this.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right, Pete.
Boy.
That's an outro. That's an intro. Let's do the outro. Ender. Oh wait, shit. Wait. I was Devin.
Peter?
Will?
And Zanes?
Doing this for like a bunch of years. I forgot how to end our goddamn episodes. And this is sponsored by nobody. Signing off.